We're here at Bogle Has 9 with our mentor, Jack Bogle. Jack, thanks for speaking with us.
Always my treat. Thank you.
One of the striking things that I heard you say at one of my first meetings was that you could teach just about everything about investing in just a few minutes. If I were to put you in front of every single person in the country for those few minutes, what would you say to them?
Well, I'd say first, invest you must. If you don't put money away, you'll end up with nothing. Pretty clear. How to invest? Don't make it any more complicated than it is. Own the stock market and own the bond market. And you can own the stock market through an all market index fund. You can own the bond market through an all bond market index fund. And that's the most sensible way to invest. And you have to figure out kind of for yourself. If you're young, you want to be very heavily towards stocks. If you're old and you've got more wealth, less appetite for risk, need income more, you want to tilt heavily to bonds. It's a lifetime asset allocation struggle. And just make sure the funds you buy are low cost. Don't pay sales loads. Watch out for funds that have high turnovers. Index funds do not. Make sure you have very, very low cost operating costs and zero management cost, which you do in an index fund. And then be careful of tax efficiency, because trading is very expensive. You pay taxes, and that devastates long-term investment returns. So it's the bond market and the stock market, and get costs out of the equation. And I guess my final piece of advice would be, don't peak. Just put your money away month after month after month after month, and don't look. And if you start when you're 20 and retire when you're 80, which I'm thinking about doing but haven't decided to do it yet, and you see what that account is worth in 60 years, you aren't going to believe it. Throw everything else out along the way.
That sounds like fantastic advice. So when you're tempted to peak, or even worse, when you're tempted to do something in response to everything else going on, what should we do? How do we avoid that? Well,
there's this great sort of American ethic that we can always win, and the great statement is, don't just stand there, do something. And my advice is, don't do something, just stand there. Because we get most excited and most depressed and most likely to sell when the market's at a low. And we get most elated and most optimistic when the market's at a high. When the market's at a low, you're tempted therefore to sell. When the market's at a high, you're tempted to buy. So don't try and time the market. I've often said that I don't know how to time the market. I don't know anybody who has ever been able to time the market successfully. And I don't even know anybody who knows anybody that's timed the market successfully. That's a lot of people.
One last thing. Your career spans 60 years, and you've done a lot of amazing things and achieved quite a bit in that time. 50, 60 years from now, what would you want people to remember about you, or remember about your accomplishments or achievements?
I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about that, but it would be something like he was an ordinary person who did his best. About that.